Hi guys, so I just made a video about how I created this look. So if you want to see it, I'll link it below. And I mentioned that I don't really contour my nose. And I am aware that I have a bulbous nose, and a lot of people with bulbous noses do contour to make their noses look more slim and less round, but I've just come to accept it. I feel like if I try to sort of change all my flaws, I'll just be kind of self-conscious when I don't do it, if that makes sense. So I mean, I only have one nose in this life, so I might as well just get used to it. But having said that, I'm going to show you how I would contour it if I felt like it one day. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is some sort of sheer brown powder. I like to actually use brow powder, like a medium brown brow powder, because brow powder tends to be more sheer than eyeshadow. So you're gonna need something brown or beige, depending on your skin tone, something a little bit darker than you, basically. You're gonna need some sort of mattifying powder. I have the Innisfree No Sebum mineral powder. You can use whatever you have that's mattifying. You're gonna need some sort of blending brush. You're gonna need a brush for your concealer. And you're going to need a small brush for the brown powder. And the concealer I'm using today is the full coverage concealer from Kiko. You can use MAC, you can use whatever you want, but just make sure it's sort of thick, on the thick side. Okay, so what I do is, with a bulbous nose, it's all about the shadows and sort of cancelling out the shadows and putting light where there are shadows, if that makes sense. So to put light there, you have to use a lighter product like this. So this is in number 4, which is a couple shades lighter than my skin tone. Can she shut up? Okay, so the thing that makes a bulbous nose more obvious and more prominent are the shadows and the shine on your nose. So around here, that's what creates this sort of bowl sort of effect. So yeah, you want to start out with your powder, whatever powder you have. So this is just a translucent mattifying powder, so I'm just going to take a little brush like this and just make it a little bit less shiny. So that's what I do first. And I do have a little bit of a like I put dark concealer on earlier in that video that I previously recorded, but I kind of blended it out so that I could do this all over again. So okay, so we got rid of most of the shine. Next, what I'm going to do is take my full coverage concealer from Kiko, and I have this in number 4, and this is a couple shades lighter than my skin tone. You want to get like a nice flat brush like this, load up your brush, and get my mirror. Okay, so then you want to sort of take the concealer on the outside of your nose. So what you're doing here is trying to cancel out the shadows. And then right here, where it sort of creates the bowl, you want to put some of the concealer as well. And make sure it's a lighter concealer than your skin tone, otherwise it defeats the purpose. So we're just cancelling out those shadows. And go around your nostril as well. Like that. So using a lighter product will obviously bring more light to that area. So then you want to take a little bit more concealer, put some here, and drag it all the way down your nose. You don't have to go the whole way, but just something like that. Okay, then this is where we get our powder. Now you can blend out your concealer first, or you can just do it all at once and then blend it out after. Doesn't really matter. So I'm going to take my small little brush here and just go from my brow, from the bottom of my brow down. And this is creating like a new sort of structure for your nose, if that makes sense. And make sure the line is quite straight so that you're not emphasizing the round tip. So go from under your brow, here, right here, bring it down in a nice straight line. And you're sort of cutting through the bulbous part of your nose. So it kind of begins here, the bulbous part. I'm cutting a little bit through, if that makes sense. Then I'm gonna put a little bit of brown shadow here on the tip. And here as well. So we're giving ourselves plastic surgery basically with makeup. So yeah, and there's various ways that I do this. I kind of go with the flow, and then I'm just gonna blend this all out. So I have a fluffy brush from e.l.f. This is the Flawless Concealer brush, looks like this. And I'm just gonna blend that all together. So I'm pretty much concentrating on the highlighted parts, like the concealer. I'm pretty much blending that out first. So now I have a different blending brush here, and I'm just gonna lightly blend out the brown like that. And to finish off, I'm taking a powder in my skin tone. This is the Hello Flawless, what is this called? Custom Powder Cover Up in Hazelnut. So I'm just gonna take this brush, a little bit of this, just go around my nose so it's not too, like, because the concealer was quite light, I don't want my nose to stand out too much. So I'm just gonna blend that in together with the rest of my face pretty much. So a tip, if you have a bulbous nose, you want to stay away from sort of shimmery highlights. You know how people take the highlights and go on the cupid's bow on the forehead and come down the nose? If you have a bulbous nose, you might not want to do that, because once it hits your tip, it's gonna be more prominent and look rounder. So yeah, I don't do that. So just a tip, but you can do whatever you want really. So that's how I subtly contour and highlight my nose to reduce some of the bulbousness of it. I mean, I've accepted my nose for what it is, and I think that is many people's biggest insecurity in terms of like facial features. A lot of people have a problem with their nose, whether they think it's too wide, too flat, if they don't like their nostrils, or if it's too long, or if they have a hump on it. It's just various things that people hate about their noses, but we just have to learn to accept them. I mean, when I see people complaining about their noses, I'm like, are you serious? I would love to have your nose. So what we see as a flaw, other people potentially might want, and even if they don't, you just have to learn to accept it, because we're just given one nose in this life. And of course we can go and get plastic surgery if you have the money and if you're willing to go through with it, but I think it's really important to learn to just accept our flaws, because it's not a big deal after all. But anyways, yeah, so that is how I do my nose. Lighter concealer, some sort of mattifying powder, and eyebrow powder, and various brushes. So yeah, I hope it helped, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!